Hello and welcome to What's Next. I'm your host, Matt Brading. This week, it's Video Game Week, and later on, I'll be talking to two video game students about GlobalGamesJam. But before all that, Andy and Bill are here to talk about games.
Hello and welcome to the video games segment where we'll be discussing everything Microsoft, Nintendo and Sony. Everything in between, rather. Today marks our first relatively early show of the year, so for video games at least, me and Bill are going to talk through our top 10 most anticipated titles of the year.
First up is BioShock Infinite, the hotly awaited sequel that takes you out of the murky depths of Rapture and places you into the steampunk-oriented heights of Columbia. This flying city is filled with cantankerous machines and crazed citizens all out to give you hell.
And the final chapter of Commander Shepard comes to an end with Mass Effect 3. This massive RPG is set to deliver the most entertaining and engaging experience yet, with the Reapers finally within the galaxy and set to destroy Earth. Remember to keep your Mass Effect 1 and 2 saves handy, because anything you've done in those previous games will come into play within the third title.
Next up is Borderlands 2. The Vault Hunters are back in this cel-shaded, stylized adventure with more ridiculous amounts of weapons and, here's hoping, foul-mouthed robots. The first game boasted an RPG shooter adventure with hour upon hour of gameplay for up to 4 players, and with the second game boasting classes like Gunzerker, it's sure to be fun.
Recently announced Resident Evil 6 has quickly become one of the most anticipated games of the year, seeing the return of protagonists Chris Redfield and Leon Kennedy and a reveal of a mysterious new character. It sees a global battle between those infected with the T-virus and those with the last Plagueis parasite. But we don't know who's behind it all, so we'll just have to play it to find out.
Also presumably coming out this year is Assassin's Creed 3. Although not officially confirmed, it's set in 2012. It marks the finalish story of Desmond as he continues to relive his ancestors' experiences to unlock the secret to saving the world. No pressure there then. With vast cities to explore that could be anywhere between American Revolution or ancient Egypt, it should be quite fun.
One of the biggest releases without a doubt this year will obviously be Halo 4. Yes, that's right, Master Chief returns in the fourth installment of his story, where we see a distressed Cortana wake him up from a deep sleep, only to be ingested by what seems to be a massive synthetic planet.
I hate it when that happens.
Well, yeah, obviously, and well, we'll see more about that later this month.
Also coming out is a demon-filled Devil May Cry, with new developers Ninja Theory at the helm. Their last game, Enslaved, unfortunately was underselling, despite its fantastic focus on the relationship and characterization of the protagonists. The voice work and the motion capture really brought the characters alive, and if they bring even an ounce of that to Devil May Cry, it'll be quite an entry to the franchise.
And at long last, Rockstar have announced Grand Theft Auto 5, the fifth true entry to the series. Returning to Los Santos, this game is ensured to be the biggest and best Grand Theft Auto yet. Although not too much is known about the story, there are rumours everywhere of who could be the protagonists in the game. Some sources on the internet claim that previous protagonists, like Tommy Vercetti, will return in this title, but expect to hear more at E3.
God, I hope so. I quite like Vercetti. Also coming out is Alan Wake, American Nightmare. The first game was a psychological thriller with the titular character waking up in a nightmarish forest, with no memory of how he got there, only the knowledge that a novel he doesn't remember writing is coming alive around him, with only the power of light to defend him from nightmarish creatures. Which, by the way, I mean literal power of light. He has a torch. Occasionally he gets a bigger torch. Sometimes people wear Christmas lights. It all works. This game is set within the Twilight Zone style series that he wrote years beforehand, and if it's anything like the first game, I'll be jumping in less than manly fashions.
And last but not least, the title that's got me and Bill excited for the end of the year will be Tomb Raider. The reboot of the franchise sees our heroine Lara Croft in her younger years shipwrecked on an island during a tropical storm. With tribal inhabitants and the elements out to push Lara to her limits, this game will be all about survival. But that's our top 10 for this week, but let's not forget about SSX, Twisted Metal, The Last Guardian and The Last of Us, which will also be coming out later this year.
I'm now joined by Alec Dilks and Jack Ryan, two game students. So before we get started, guys, what games are you looking forward to this year?
I'm really looking forward to the Halo 4 one, mainly because I'm a big FPS fan and a big Halo fan.
I'm looking forward to BioShock Infinite. I love the other games and I love the art style and the new one.
Okay, cool. And you're here because you took part in GlobalGamesJam, a 48-hour competition. Why don't you explain to us what it is?
GlobalGamesJam is an event that happens every year. It happens around the world. Multiple places take part in a 48-hour race to create a game, basically. You start from the very beginning of the 48 hours with the concept all the way to the end product. And you're given a slight hint to what the theme is, and you're basically just told to go on with people you don't know who they are at the very beginning and make something of it. Okay,
so what theme were you given this year?
We were given a snake eating itself. It's one of the craziest themes ever that we were told, like, from previous people who did the actual Global Games Jam. And basically it had a Greek meaning behind it, which was the circle of life, which a lot of people took on board, but generally in our group we didn't even know about the meaning. We just went with the actual theme itself.
Okay, well, let's take a quick look at the game that you made. So what was the idea behind the game?
Basically, it started off in pre-production where I came up with the idea of using the theme in a 3D sense, like using the actual sphere itself as some kind of vehicle. And I kind of went on to a unique kind of idea where two people control the same kind of vehicle, where you have someone who drives the actual snake, and then the other person is the rider or driver or whatever. And his objective is to attack other people, so therefore adding in a multiplayer aspect. And I also thought of a racing kind of idea, where basically it was in a coliseum, and basically you had to go around the outside, dodging various obstacles, picking up various power-ups. And the objective was to get around in the fastest time possible. Then you've also got the objective of stopping the other team, and they've got to try and stop you to get in there first.
Yeah.
So basically you have health and stuff like that, so you can damage them with your spear or your crossbow. And if you kill them, then they reset and have start all over again.
That's cool. So Jack, what was your role in the game?
I was tasked with being the level designer. It was what I wanted to do before I even signed up to Global Games Jam. And I started off making blueprints and concepts of what the level might look like, how the layout might be, where the barrels would be placed, whether it be ramps, fire, stuff that hurts the player. And then I had to learn the engine, because I'd never used it before. So within 48 hours I had to learn the engine and then make the level in it, as well as make the concept. So as you can imagine, it was quite a rushed experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you've seen on the video, the level that the players are all racing around, all the pretty fire and the grass and the mountains, it was all stuff down to me.
Cool. And Alec, what did you do?
I was basically the graphics artist for the team, where basically I make the menus and all the icons, stuff like that. And also I got to do a bit of coding from our actual coder on the team. He basically taught me a bit of coding and got me to put the menu actually into the game.
That's cool. So what was the most difficult thing about making this game?
Well, the fact that we only had 48 hours from concept to finish was tough in and of itself. But I think by far the lack of sleep that we had over the few days we had to make the game, just drained us completely. The ideas got more and more bizarre as we became more and more tired. So we really had to focus on what we were doing and stop trying to bring in new ideas and finish the ones we had before. That was the big problem.
And what was your view of the game once you finished it?
It was good in the end of the day. It was a game that we actually made in 48 hours, so it was a great accomplishment for us. There was a lot of stuff that we wanted to do in it, a lot of stuff that we thought was possible at the start, but at the end of the day, when it got to about the 30th hour, we just kind of scrapped the idea and just made sure that we had something to present to the people at the end of it, and we ended up doing multiplayer and stuff like that, which is great for a game made for 48 hours.
Cool. Well, thanks very much for joining us on the show. That's all we have time for this week, but join us next week where we'll be talking about music.
And be sure to join us next month when we'll be discussing one of the big game conferences of the year, GDC.
And if you want your work showcased on the show, guys, remember to visit the contact page on our website.
In the meantime, you can check us out on Facebook or Twitter, and you can finally check out our website because it's back online, what'snextshow.co.uk. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.